Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So there are various commentators and sources that are claiming that the U.S. dollar is going to completely collapse in 2023. Now, I've made a number of videos that talking about all of the threats to the dollar that are developing and increasing at a rapid pace. But do I expect the dollar's value to collapse in 2023? The answer is no. The dollar remains and will remain the world reserve currency for some period of time to come. But it is going to fall in value. It's not going to happen all at once in a sudden drop. Instead, it's going to be a gradual decline in the value of the dollar. Now, the changes, Saudi Arabia and different countries, India and China, conducting trade in, the real, the yuan, these countries conducting trade in native currencies, the ruble. These are going to have a definite effect on the value of the dollar. But at the same time, the value of the dollar is derived from the volume and velocity of currency that is used in international transactions. Part of the value of the dollar comes from debt. Loans made out to other countries by the U.S.-led IMF and World Bank, etc. Every time you see these big loans or even grants to other countries, this is measured as volume and velocity of the U.S. dollar being used in international transactions from one country to another. So, the more that this keeps on happening, then the value of the dollar continues to be propped up. The problem comes with that, where the interest rate keeps on increasing. And these debts from these countries, just the amount that they have to pay to service that debt, to pay the interest alone on those debts, is probably going to reach the point where underdeveloped countries are going to see their debt increase even as they are paying the service on that debt. And at some point, these countries are going to wind up defaulting on that debt, either by necessity or very possibly by choice. They can take a look historically at what happened to Argentina, who in the early 21st century defaulted on their debt to the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Well, what followed was that they were able to start using the money they had used to pay that debt and instead invest it in their own development. This could be a choice for these countries. And it doesn't come with the repercussions such as not being able to borrow money, having their national credit rating destroyed, only being able to borrow money in extremely high interest rates, far above what the dollar is carrying right now. Instead, there is an alternative that is rising. Countries that are joining the BRICS alliance may well benefit from the BRICS Development Bank, which is part of the BRICS organization. But if the BRICS Development Bank continues to expand and become an alternative to the IMF and the World Bank, that means that that money will be loaned out in yuan, or if the BRICS Alliance does, as I expect, in August, develop a common currency for international trade, which is not the yuan or real or ruble, then that could very well be a complete threat to the dollar. But again, this is going to be over time. It's not going to be a sudden drop. Now, yes, we are going to experience a recession, a depression, developing over time in the United States. This is going to be brought about by inflation and the contraction of the workforce, especially living wage jobs. It's not going to appear as though the workforce is contracting because more people are going to be forced back into the workforce, which will increase the labor participation rate, which currently stands at 62.6% as of March. So people that are retired are going to return to the workforce. Stay-at-home mothers, people that are not currently working are going to be re-entering the workforce. They're not going to have a choice. But these are all going to be in living wage job low wage, below living wage jobs. So even as people work more, they're going to have fewer hours. And I've talked about the, tenuous, unstable employment, such as people working for Uber, Lyft, etc. And you take a look at these positions, and most of those people don't make a living wage. Yes, you can come up with some anecdotal exceptions to this, but you take a look at how many hours a week they work, subtract their expenses, and then divide by the number of hours a week that they work, and what you find out is that the majority of them make minimum wage or even less. They work so many hours in many cases that they barely get to see their families. If they get to see their families at all. You got people working on call and contract work, which is temporary employment, or all these different things, the gig economy. You might, just like I used to work per diem nursing. So, I would work when I was needed. So I would get called in to work for 12 hours. Sometimes I would get sent home early. So I would wind up with 6 hours or 8 hours instead of 12 hours. And then I might work today, and then I might not have any work for 3 or 4 days. So I might wind up working 1 or 2 shifts a week. So that was unstable. It's unreliable. And many people are in this position right now, and more people are going to be in this position. In addition, we've got increasing automation, centralization, etc. Now it's being reported that drones are being looked at. This has been going on for a while for deliveries, which will take the place of your DoorDash or Grubhub drivers. Amazon has been looking at this, Google, Walmart, etc. So instead of a delivery driver, you're going to have more and more. You might have drones. Now, this is expanding already in Africa, India, and China. The United States, it is in limited areas so far. There is some conflict with the Federal Aviation Administration and so forth and so on. But just wait for it, because it is coming. You've got autonomous vehicles that are already on our highways and our streets, and the more, so far, they're not reliable enough, but the more that they are testing these things and gathering data, compiling data, then it will continue to be used, at least on highways and in some cases, until it reaches full, density. So that is going to eliminate millions of living wage jobs. So, even though we can be in a massive recession, that doesn't mean that the value of the dollar decreases. That doesn't really have to do with your consumer spending immediately. Over time, the contraction of the workforce and declining incomes, meaning declining consumer spending, will affect the value of the dollar, because you reduce consumer demand, you reduce trade with other countries, the volume and velocity of the dollar affects the international trade, and that will lend to the decline of the value of the dollar over time. So what we're going to see isn't going to be a rapid, sudden collapse, but it is going to be a gradual decline. Anyway, I hope this answers some of the questions and concerns people are having from some of the reports that are coming out there. I know it doesn't offer a whole lot of optimism. Very much the opposite. But unless we reconfigure our economy and our foreign relations, our trade relations, then this is what is coming. And I do expect the dollar to decline rapidly and significantly over the next 2 to 3 years. What happens beyond that, I'm not entirely sure. But it is what I'm telling you right now is pretty definite. All right, so share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can afford it, please donate whatever you can to help expand this channel and my presidential campaign, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a good day.